Just 2 days after the checkered flag fell on the dramatic 2025 season, the Formula One teams were back on track at the Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. While the championship celebrations were still fresh, the focus had already shifted to the future. The annual post-season test is always an important event, but this year it had a special significance. It was our very first glimpse into the massive rule changes coming in 2026 and a chance for new champions and rising stars to shine. The test had a dual purpose, making it a very busy day for all 10 teams. Each team ran 2 cars. One car was dedicated to testing the brand new Pirelli tyres for the 2026 season. The other car was for the traditional young driver test, giving up-and-coming talent a chance to get behind the wheel of a Formula One car. This meant there were 20 cars on track in total, with a mix of experienced champions and rookies who are still trying to prove themselves. Of course, all eyes were on one man, the newly crowned world champion, Lando Norris. It was his first time on track since securing the title, and he did it in style. Norris sported a special gold crash helmet to mark the occasion. While he will race with the number 1 on his car next year for this test, he was still running his familiar number 4. It was a symbolic final run for the car and number that took him to his first world championship. Norris completed 71 laps in the morning session, gathering important data for McLaren and Pirelli before handing the car over to his teammate Oscar Piastri for the afternoon. After the run, Norris said it was great to get back out in the championship-winning car for one last time this year. It was a fitting way to close out an incredible season for the young British driver. While Norris's golden helmet was a great visual, the biggest technical story of the day came from Mercedes. The team rolled out a car with a fascinating new piece of technology: active aerodynamics on the front wing. This was the first time we have seen a team publicly test a key part of the 2026 regulations. In 2026, cars will have movable wings that can change shape on the straights to reduce drag and increase speed. Mercedes had an FIA-approved prototype of this system on their car, and it gave us a real preview of what the future of F1 will look like. Their young driver, Kimi Antonelli, spent the entire day in the car, completing an incredible 157 laps, the most of any driver. This extensive running gave Mercedes a huge amount of data on the new system. Antonelli was also the fastest of all the drivers testing the 2026 style mule cars. This is a big advantage for Mercedes as they prepare for the new regulations. So, what is a mule car? To test the new 2026 tyres, teams cannot use their current cars because the 2026 cars will have much less downforce. The new regulations are designed to make the cars lighter, faster in a straight line, and more efficient. But this means less grip through the corners. So, they modify their 2025 cars to simulate the lower downforce levels. They do this by using smaller wings, similar to what they use at a low downforce track like Monza, and changing the ride height. These modified cars are called mule cars. They are not full 2026 cars, but they give Pirelli a good idea of how the new tyres will behave under the expected conditions. This is crucial work for Pirelli because they need to develop tyres that work well with the new car designs and can handle the different loads and temperatures. This also explains the timesheets. At the end of the day, the fastest driver was Aston Martin's young driver, Jack Crawford. He was followed by Paul Aron in the Alpine and Luke Browning in the Williams. You might be wondering why these young, inexperienced drivers were faster than world champions like Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton. The reason is simple. The young drivers were in the normal 2025 spec cars with full downforce and 2025 tyres. The experienced drivers were in the slower mule cars with less downforce, focused on testing the new 2026 tyres, not on setting fast lap times. In fact, Antonelli, the fastest mule car driver, was about 1.4 seconds slower than Crawford, so the times do not really tell the full story of who was the quickest driver on the day. The test was also a chance for some drivers to get their first experience with their new teams for 2026. Isaac Hajar, who will be driving for the senior Red Bull team next year, had his first official run in the car. British teenager Arvid Lindblad also got his first taste of the Racing Bulls car ahead of his F1 debut next season. These early runs are incredibly valuable, allowing the drivers to get to know their new engineers and get comfortable with the team before pre-season testing begins in late January. It also gives the teams a chance to see how the new drivers adapt to the car and the team environment. For Ferrari, it was a day of transition. Charles Leclerc ran in the morning, while Lewis Hamilton took over in the afternoon. And he will be hoping for a better 2026 season after a disappointing first year with the Italian team. Hamilton has said he plans to completely unplug from Formula One over the winter break, so this test was his final duty before switching off. Not every driver was on track, however. Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, and George Russell all chose to skip the test. After a long and intense season, they decided to start their winter break early. Verstappen even joked that he was fortunate to be able to miss it. After winning the race in Abu Dhabi, he clearly felt he had done enough for the year. Russell also decided to take the time off, with Frederic Vesti handling the full day for Mercedes instead. The day was not without a few issues. Ryo Hirakawa had a crash in his Haas at turn 1, which brought out a red flag while his car was recovered. The Japanese driver damaged his rear wing but was able to get back on track later in the day. Esteban Ocon had a much tougher day. He only managed to complete 4 laps due to technical problems with the car. Ocon will be hoping this is not a sign of things to come. There were also some interesting young drivers on display. Luke Browning impressed for Williams, while Pato O'Ward got more valuable F1 experience with McLaren. Paul Aron, the reserve driver from Alpine, was second fastest overall. This is another team that we should be paying a close eye to. The Renault-powered team, which will soon be backed by Mercedes, will try to forget this season as they were arguably the slowest team in 2025 and ranked first on the Destructors' Championship. This stint at the Yas Marina Circuit will mostly be the last time we see an F1 powered by a Renault engine. These tests are crucial for young drivers who are trying to break into Formula One. A strong performance can catch the eye of team bosses and open doors for the future. So, what did we learn from this test? First, we got a clear look at the future with Mercedes' active aero test. It shows how different the 2026 cars will be. The movable wings will be a big change and could shake up the competitive order. Second, we saw the next generation of F1 talent on display, with drivers like Jack Crawford, Paul Aron, and Luke Browning showing their speed. And finally, we saw the 2025 season officially come to a close, with the new world champion Lando Norris taking his title-winning car for one last spin. The winter break will be short, but the work for 2026 has already begun in earnest. This test was the first small step into a brand new era for Formula One. The teams now have a few weeks to rest before pre-season testing begins and the real work starts.